Eamon Khan here for Seconds Out with Spencer Oliver, ahead of his new venture, Duffy Boxing. Talk me through the new venture, Spencer.
Yeah, the new venture is with one Mr. Johnny Nelson. We teamed up with a guy called Kieran Duffy, who's an ex-boxer himself, and a good friend of ours, Chris Kenning, another guy that's involved with us, that's helping us, with this journey. And we had this vision about opening up a boxing gym. We always talked about it. Me and Kieran were in the same gym. Kieran actually trains a guy that I manage in Razor Alley. And that's how it sort of came about. Kieran said, yeah, I'd love to do this gym and whatnot. And we went, me and Johnny are in for that. And we chose this area, which is a stone throw away from the Olympic Park, right next to the Copper Box. We chose this area because there's a lot of knife crime, gun crime in this area, right? But it's a growing area. They've regenerated it, revamped it in many ways. So we chose this area to go, listen, if we can get the kids off the streets into the gyms, it's not about whether they want to be a boxer, it's about teaching them the life skills, the discipline, all the things that boxing teaches you, to respect people, to respect others. That was the important thing. And I think that was the goal, that when we said, yeah, let's open this gym, and Kieran, you can train the professional boxers here and everything else, and that'll be a great spot in this part of London for all the boxers. Dan Aziz, who only lives 10 minutes away from here, he's going to come down and start using the gym from time to time. But I said it's going to give kids hope, and I think that's what it's all about. When kids are on the streets and they're drinking, smoking, doing whatever they're doing, they've got nowhere to go, no focus to go anywhere. We've got the boxing gym here now. We're doing classes. It's for all levels, like I say. We're doing one-on-one sessions. There's professional boxers coming in here as well. So, yeah, it's just giving something back to the community. And we want to do that, by the way, up and down the country. It's not just here. This is going to be the mothership. But, we're going to take this Duffy Boxing venture up and down the country. Yeah, you can get that duffyboxing.com. Get on there, have a look at our website, and you can see everything that we're trying to achieve.
The type of the gym where that in 10, 20 years or sooner, you want a world champion to come out of this gym?
Listen, so I'm going to give you one. So going back, rewind many years, when Anthony Joshua walked into my dad's gym, Finchley ABC, Joshua walked into the gym and he had that similar sort of background. He had an ASBO against him in Watford. He was drinking, smoking, doing things that he shouldn't be doing. But his cousin Ben Alimi brought him down to the gym because he couldn't go out in Watford because he was been too, He was like that kid that was naughty on the street and doing stuff that he shouldn't be doing, but he couldn't try find any focus or any discipline in life. He didn't want to be a boxer. He came down to the boxing gym just because he couldn't do anything else. Ben brought him down there, and all of a sudden he's like, I don't mind this. 2 years later, he's ABA champion. 3 years later, he's world silver medalist. 4 years later, he's Olympic gold medalist. 6 years later, he's turning pro. 8 years after that, he's like world champion. And you look at his journey now and you go, that is inspirational. We might find one of them around here. You never know. And I think that's sort of like, that's all part of the journey. That's what we're trying to achieve.
Hopefully Duffy Boxing can polish one of those gems. And you led me on nicely to Joshua. Look, you've been a key advocate of Joshua's resurgence and Joshua as a fighter when some have criticised him. And that brings stick your way as to when you say, Joshua is now ready to maybe fight and beat Usyk. People kind of go, no, Spencer, hold your horses. Yeah. What do you say to those people who are saying you're flying a bit too high at the moment?
Do you know what? What I say to them people is, now take a look at yourselves. Now start respecting what I was going to say. That, I always had belief in him. I always had belief that he could overcome that lack of confidence, that he lost that confidence in his own ability. And I think that is important that we see. Inactivity was the big problem there. And I think now he's been active. You go look at it, last four fights in the last year, and you see the marked improvement in every fight. And now we see Anthony Joshua at his best, where he's got that confidence to sit in the pocket, put the combinations together, go once, go twice. That's important. I think that Anthony Joshua goes with any heavyweight in the world right now. You can only go off their last performances. You look at Fury's last performance and you go, well, that weren't a vintage performance. You look at Joshua's last performance and you go, he iced the guy that pushed Fury all the way to the wire. Now we've got a fight. The biggest fight in, not just British boxing history, but the biggest fight possibly in world boxing history right now, generational, like Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury, the fight we all want to see. That's now a 50-50. 12 months ago, that was a 20-80 in favour of Fury. But you're only going off how they're looking recently. Fury looks in great shape, by the way, in the training camp for this one. I'm glad that eye's healing well. I think he starts sparring at the end of this month, maybe. Just hope that Fury gets that undisputed title and we get Anthony Joshua versus Tyson Fury at some point, because that's what the world of boxing needs.
You back Joshua?
Always back Joshua, because he's my boy. It's like we've got history with that. That's what I'm talking about, going back to the Finchley days with my dad and my my uncle. So of course I'm going to back him. But now you've got to give him a real shot. And the public have got to give him a real shot as well, because you look at it and you go, Anthony Joshua is back to his best, and he can whack, and that makes him dangerous, mate. So Yeah, of course I'm going to back. I would always back Joshua.
What do you think of Francis Ngannou's reasoning as to why he wasn't the Francis Ngannou that fought Tyson Fury? He said he was falling asleep in the dressing room ahead of the fight. Said he woke up, felt he wasn't at his best. He just wasn't quite there. What do you make of those statements from Ngannou?
Well, do you know what? It was it was a weird one, unusual. I don't know what to read into that one. He's obviously going to say that because of the way and the manner that he got beat. He tactically got it wrong. Just one sec. I'll call you in a minute. Mark, I'll give you a call. Do you speak to the boys? I'll speak to you in a bit, yeah. All right. Yeah, tactically, he got that wrong and he paid the price for it. He tried to switch southpaw. Why would you do that against someone like, Anthony Joshua, who throws shots straight through the middle? As soon as he switched, Joshua iced him. So, no, I think that I don't know why he's saying that. I think it was just a case of Anthony Joshua was superb on the night.
Hrgović seems to be in talks with Daniel Dubois.
Just by his feet. Just here, because don't want him to stand on it, right in front of him. When it comes now. Yeah, sorry.
No worries, we'll pick it up there. Hrgović seems to be in talks with Daniel Dubois, and there was the thought that whilst AJ waits on the sidelines for Fury Usyk to happen and happen again with the rematch, that AJ might fight Filip Hrgović. Now that might not be the case, who do you want to see Anthony Joshua take on next?
I'm going to give you one. What about if Dubois fights Hrgović in like a final eliminator to fight Anthony Joshua, while Tyson Fury fights Alexander Usyk and then goes into the rematch? There's just one scenario. We get Joe Joyce in against Dillian Whyte. Another great fight. Winner goes on and kicks on. Loser possibly has to retire. There's big fights out there right now. There's, the landscape, the way. That's the beauty about the investment of Saudi Arabia and their investment into boxing, is that we are now getting the fights we want to see. All right, we might not be getting them on these shores, but we're getting the fights that we want to see. And I think that's important for modern eras and legacies for all these fighters.
We're talking about Dillian Whyte's return. It wasn't his fault with what happened with Christian Hammer, but you spoke passionately beforehand about drugs and drug usage in sport. Are you sold on the reasons that Dillian Whyte has provided, and do you think he should get back into that heavyweight mix?
Absolutely. Listen, he cleared his name. He dealt with it the right way. He went underground. He dealt with it that way. He failed a test, and he went and proved his innocence, and that was important. If you prove your innocence, then you're innocent, aren't you? And that's where I'm at with it. That's what we asked for Conor Benn. He said, "You got to prove your innocence, mate, and then we're all behind you. You was the future of British boxing, the biggest star in British boxing. Now there's this dark cloud hanging over his name, but it was dealt with really, really wrong, and they probably all respect that that's the way it was dealt with. But Dillian Whyte done it the right way. He proved it was contaminated supplements. Move on with your career. I'm glad that he's back. He puts himself back in the heavyweight mix. Christian Hammer out there at the weekend. That was frustrating for Dillian Whyte because he didn't come to fight. Then he quits on his stall. Dillian calls him a coward, and rightly so, because Christian turned up for the payday, but Dillian didn't get what he wanted to out of the fight, and that was important for him.
How do you feel about this Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul fight?
Yeah, not a big fan of it, really, if I'm totally honest. Look, it depends where it lands, how it lands. Are they going head guards? Are they going big gloves? Are they going small gloves, no head guards? Really don't know at the moment. I totally understand it from a commercial point of view because it'll do huge pay-per-view sales. Do you know what I mean? But my fear is Mike Tyson, the guy that I used to get up to and listen to it on the radio with my dad, in the early days, before you'd even get it on the TV over here with Mike Tyson, before you get those American fights, he was a phenomenon, a boxing legend. He's an icon. He's going in against a YouTuber turned boxer. Imagine he got knocked out, man. And that's the reality. And you just go, please don't let that happen. So, look, what do I think about it? It's not something particularly. Would I watch it? Of course I'd watch it. You know what I mean? Of course I'd watch it. Would I be intrigued by it? Of course I would. You'd be stupid not to. I think what Jake Paul's done for boxing has been brilliant. How he's turned that around. So yeah, look, it's let's see how it goes, how it lands, and whether it's an exhibition or a fight. But
what of Ryan Garcia's situation, who seems to be, pouring his heart out on social media? Maybe needs someone to, dragging him away from social media right now. He's heading into a fight with Devin Haney as well too. But it seems like a lot of people are questioning, probably quite rightly as well, his mental state heading into that fight. Yeah, I know the New York Athletic Commission have been looking at it. I think the case was presenting to them. My personal opinion is that he shouldn't be fighting. He's not in no mental state to be fighting. I don't think that mentally he's there. God forbid something happened to him in the ring and then you'd go, to put boxing into disrepute. Why do you let this kid get into the ring? You could see that mentally he's not there. These erratic posts that he's putting up on Instagram and Twitter, they're not right. So mentally he's not right, therefore he shouldn't be fighting. And I feel sorry for him and I wish him all the best and I hope he gets himself better because he's a super talent and he's been brilliant for boxing. He's got a huge
social media following, and he's brought them into the boxing world. He's converted them into boxing fans, and I think he's a great little fighter himself. I wish him all the best, but I don't want to see him fight against Devin Haney because mentally he's not right.
On to Boxer Business, want to get out one of the talking points out of the way. First of all, that being the Times article regarding Ben Shalom and alleged handling of funds. I wonder if you've read that. There's an investigation going on between Boxer internally as to what the case is there, but have you seen that?
I've seen it, but I can't comment on it because I don't really know too much about it. I've not had a chance to speak to anyone about that. I've saw the allegations that were put against Ben Shalom, but can't comment because I don't know the allegations. I don't know what it is.
Fair enough. The other thing, though, on the positive note, is that Yard and Joshua Buatsi will finally be hopefully meeting. We're waiting for an imminent announcement. Great fight to get over the line. Who are you backing?
Yeah, listen, I love that fight. It's 50-50. Right now, it's a difficult one to call because I think they're both phenomenal fighters. Yard, that momentum's with him really now. He seems to be improving still all the time. And, Buatsi proved it still that, against that T&Cs, that he's still very much at the top of his game. So 50-50 fight, man, but great for British fights because it's a fight that probably lands on this soil, British soil, and that's important. We need these big fights still, so it's a fight that we want to see. It's a fight that must happen.
Very final one, Spencer, just come into my mind. I spoke to you beforehand about Thomas Hauser and his thoughts about Joshua. I did speak to him in the wake of his fight with Francis Ngannou. It seems to, I don't want to put words in his mouth, but maybe turning the corner about how he feels on Joshua. Should more tests come through and should Joshua come through those tests? But he said, in the wake of how that Joshua dispensed of Francis Ngannou, Tyson Fury should be ashamed of how he performed in his fight against Francis Ngannou.
So there's a lot of truth in that because that's what I'm saying. We're talking about the WBC World Heavyweight Champ, a guy that we're talking about the best of the modern era, a guy that we're talking about possibly one of the best of all time. Performs like that. That was a terrible performance. It was a wake-up call for Fury because, like I say, he looks better now in training or whatever, but mate, he'll always be remembered for that performance because that was a diabolical performance for sure. And Anthony Joshua showed what you should be doing to an MMA fighter in a boxing ring.
Spencer, pleasure's all mine. Thanks for checking us out.